Talofa lava. I'm Karen and Peni Te'o, and very happy to be here with the Baha'i on Air crew in Samoa. It's great to have your visit and the opportunity to tell you more about our life here and the House of Worship here in Samoa. Samoa to
Both Karen and I are managers of the House of Worship. We've been doing it for 3 years now. We absolutely love it. We enjoy living here. We enjoy working with the local people. Yeah, we have a staff of 11, which we manage. They work 5 days a week. And it's a huge property, so we talk about what to do during the week and what the plan for the week is. We have a cleaning schedule for the House of Worship. A certain time of the year we do the inside or the outside or the steps or things like that. Karen does most of the administration, the report, and I do all the wages and the financial and accounting and things like that.
Although we do our report together as well.
We
talk it all
together,
through, but I physically type it.
Yeah, because we have to report to the National Spiritual Assembly. We work under the jurisdiction of the National Spiritual Assembly of Samoa, and then the Universal House of Justice, which is the administration of the faith in the world in Haifa. And those are the two bodies that we report to every month. Every month we make a report.
So looking after the property is a huge job. And then, of course, underneath all of that, or along with all of that, is the key purpose of the House of Worship is for people to be able to come and visit it and enjoy it. And so the Baha'i Houses of Worship are really like gifts to the world. Places where anyone can come, and ours is available from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day of the year. So places where people can come to pray, meditate, reflect, think, and walk in the gardens. And so the other part of our role is making sure that that's a welcoming and safe and lovely environment for visitors.
Yeah.
And we do have thousands of tourists a year come and visit. Who just love to come and walk around the property. In fact, interestingly, quite a few of the tourists who come from New Zealand say that they've heard of the Bahá'í Faith through watching this very program, Baha'i on Air. And so they say, oh yeah, we watch Baha'i on Air, so we'd really like to.
That's true. I mean,
it's lovely.
I remember one man came here one day and he said, I have to come and see the House of Worship because I've been watching it Baha'i on Air, and I said, when I come to Samoa, I have to go and see the Baha'i House of Worship. And the other thing we have to do is sort of involve all the other Samoan friends, the Baha'is, to be part of this team. It's not just us and the workers, it's a whole Samoa Baha'i community. It's all belongs to all of us. So in the last 3 years, there was a lot of people come and work. We had working bees from out in the back village. We even had people from Samoa who came and helped with the work at the House of Worship. Because we have to make them feel it's their own as well. It's not just the managers and the workers.
Benny committed a year or so, it ended up being a couple of years, to going to Savaii and helping people through study circles. So groups of people would come together to study the writings of the faith and look at how they could implement them in their lives and in their villages.
Right.
And then that was also a training program that trained young people to take junior youth groups and teach children's classes, which are all very important activities that the Baha'i community all over the world is doing to help build better communities. The junior youth groups teach service and encourage young people through service to their wider community and to develop moral and good character and values.
Yeah, for a couple of years there was 3 villages involved. There was Satufia, Papapulea and Pulea. So,
And Sasina
yeah,
as well.
and Sasina as well. Yeah. So in that group there were about 17 people all involved, you know. Study the writings and trained to be trained to the junior youth activities, weren't they? I mean, that's all the beginning of it.
When I was a university student, I came with 8 others, Baha'i youth, who wanted to come and do some service here in Samoa. So I was pretty young then, obviously, teenager. And when I was here, I really fell in love with the place. And in fact, I didn't want to go home. And I think I rang my parents and said I wanted to stay. And they said, you better come back and finish your degree. And so that was really my first contact with it. Samoan people, everyone believes in God. They know the spiritual reality that there is God. It's demonstrated here very strongly by people being involved in churches, but they certainly know that there is God and that people pray and rely on God and trust in God. And that's something that I really enjoy about Samoan culture and Samoan society. Whereas often in Western countries, there's certainly no basic understanding or acceptance of that. And consequently, because people trust in God and rely on God, they have a higher level of receptivity and acceptance and calmness. They don't feel they have to control every aspect of their life because they can trust in God. So it just has quite an impact on all aspects of society. For the last couple of years, Benny and I have been serving on the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of Samoa. This is the annually elected administrative body that takes care of the affairs of the Baha'i community of Samoa. I'm the secretary at the moment, and that's a full-time role. And I'm fortunate to be able to carry that out from my office in the House of Worship manager's office. So I'm able to kind of wear 2 hats during each day, and that's exciting. I often come out onto the deck in the morning when it's looking extra beautiful, and I take a photo, and put it on and send it out to my friends saying, look at my view this morning, because it's a really beautiful view from the office. And also it's a very practical situation as well. In the Baha'i Faith we don't have any clergy and we don't have leaders with any authority, not as individuals. And so the National Spiritual Assembly in every country of the world is the elected body. So it's basically 9 people who are elected every year who serve in a spirit of service their community. It's a great privilege for us to serve in this way. Almost every country of the world, apart from just a few, there are national spiritual assemblies for the Baha'i communities. And then every 5 years we elect the Universal House of Justice, which is our international governing body. It's only elected, as I said, every 5 years, but national spiritual assemblies every year. And in the same way, the Universal House of Justice takes care of the affairs of the Baha'i communities around the world, and also the wider community as well, where the purpose of the faith is to serve mankind. And so our institutional bodies are very outward focused, and we are concerned with building communities and contributing to the well-being of mankind in many different ways.
Well, the good thing about this place is that things grow so fast. You know, you decide to create a new garden somewhere, and then a few weeks later, boom, it's showing up. You know, exactly. So it's very easy to create new gardens, and if you see something that has to be done somewhere, and you just do it. And things that grow so fast. We have about 20-something acres of lawn to mow, and we have lawn mowers, push lawn mowers. We have the weed eaters, and we have a tractor. A tractor that mows 2/3 of the place, and with the tractor, And the tractor's 58 years old. So it's an amazing, good old Massey Ferguson, ancient tractor, but does a good job. Yeah. As I said earlier, I had visited Samoa in 1974 as part of a youth group, and I went back to New Zealand in February, and that year then was 1975, and it was International Women's Year, United Nations International Women's Year. And our Baha'i community in Hamilton had a display at a big Women's Year Expo at Claudelands Showgrounds. And I happened to be on duty at our display, which was about the equality of men and women, on this particular Saturday. And of course, still very fresh in my heart was my experience of Samoa. And a Samoan man came along, not Benny. A Samoan man came along looking at the display and said, he was very interested. And he'd like to know me more. And of course, I was keen to know him more. I was so happy to meet another Samoan. And so we swapped phone numbers, and he rang me up a few days later and invited me to go to the movies with him. And I was a little afraid to go on my own. So I said, okay, well, you bring a friend and I'll bring a friend and we can go together, the 4 of us. And the friend he brought along was Benny. Every Sunday at 10 o'clock, there's a devotional service at the House of Worship. The Sunday is of no significance. It's just because that's the day that people are not working. It's a day off. So 10 o'clock on Sundays, we have beautiful services. Writings of the different religions are read. In the Baha'i Faith we have no clergy, and so our services are just from the friends themselves, taking turns at reading the writings from the different holy books of the world, punctuated by exquisite singing from choirs. Local choirs. Yeah. We've got 3 choirs, I think, at the moment from different areas, different villages. Yeah. And they take turns and sing so beautifully, with no musical instruments. So in the House of Worship, the only thing that happens there is the Word of God is read and the Word of God is sung. There are no sermons, no collections of money. It's just a beautiful experience of a pure, sacred, meditative space. When I was at high school, a teenager, I was a very active member of our Anglican youth club, and I used to go to Anglican church, and I had gone through confirmation classes and was confirmed.
And then one day I was looking through the Reader's Digest Atlas and came across a map of the religions of the world and noticed that on the map there were so many different religions: Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, Zoroastrianism. And I just sort of really looked at this map, and it kind of surprised me because, of course, in church every Sunday we were talking about how Jesus was the only Son of God, and the implication was that other people didn't have the truth. So when I saw all of the other religions in the world, I thought, oh my goodness, and I realised that actually the main reason that I was a Christian was because I was born in New Zealand. That if I'd been born in India, I would be a Hindu. Or if I was born in Thailand, I would probably be Buddhist. So that kind of shook me up a little bit. And so I went along to the public library and I took out the Bhagavad Gita, the writings of Krishna, the Quran, and writings of Buddha. And I took them home, read them, and discovered, oh my goodness, these all seem to have the word of God. And so that really made me question what really was the truth. So I went along to my minister at our local Anglican church and asked him questions about it, and I wasn't satisfied with the answers at all. And in my heart, I'd realised that the religion from God was much bigger than just Christianity.
I've never heard of it before, but when I found it, I really liked the principles of the faith, and that sort of attracted me to the faith. And there's no hell in heaven because I didn't want to go to hell. So I spent a couple of years investigating the faith and attended the Baha'i activities, which I really, really enjoyed, of the friendliness of the people, and everyone was so friendly and so loving. And
so I met this Baha'i family and through them heard about the Bahá'í Faith and investigated its teachings, read books, and found that was the truth. I realised that for me was the truth. The key thing was the understanding that actually all of the religions are from God, and they've been gradually revealed over the history of mankind through a series of teachers that have come to renew the same spiritual teachings basically in each age and give different social teachings according to the needs of the time.
So for 2 years I hung around the Baha'is and just reading a few books and things like that. And then that's in 1977 I decided to join the faith. And that's when I committed to be a Baha'i. And yeah. And I've been a Baha'i ever since.
Trying to be.
Trying to be a Baha'i ever since.
We often have youth come and serve here. Sometimes we have the youth come from the villages during their school holidays. They may come and spend a weekend or a week or two coming and helping out. Sometimes a children's class or a junior youth group will come and rake the grass after it's been mowed. There was once a very sweet little children's class came, tiny little darling children from one of the village children's classes came and they dusted and polished all the seats in the temple. And it's just wonderful when we have our local Baha'is here coming and volunteering their time and energy and serving the House of Worship.
The other interesting thing that we found is we employed people who are not Baha'is, but a year later or 2 years later, they became Baha'is. You know, they investigate and they study and then they became Baha'is and they contribute to the community with so much, you know. And they just love working here and they love being Baha'is now.
Ever since we've been Baha'is, we've made it a priority to go to Baha'i summer school, which happens every year in December. It's a wonderful gathering where the friends come from all over New Zealand. They often camp together, stay together, they study, they have fun, they laugh a lot, dance a lot, sing and play music a lot. It's always a wonderful experience for us, and it always was for our children as well, just to be part of this great community of friends and family.
And see the reality of the faith in love and unity just for a few days.
That's right.
Everyone living together. And
That's it, that experience of kind of living in a new world, isn't it, where there's huge diversity, people of so many different races and ages, all living and being together with a beautiful spirit. It is. It's really an experience of like a new world, the way the world will be in the future.
Or the way the world would like to be.
Yeah, that's right. It's great to be here because there are so many things that we achieve. In addition to getting to go to the summer school, we also see children and our grandchildren. So we have two beautiful sons. They're aged 27 and 24. They're both Baha'is. And it's important in the Bahá'í Faith, although we raise our children with Bahá'í teachings, but it's very important that they choose for themselves whether or not to be Baha'is.
And they both made the choice when they were sort of 16 years old. Yeah, they both declared, themselves they want to be Baha'is, which was very, very important to us.
So it was wonderful. They investigated, and when they were ready, they decided, yes, they too are Baha'is. And so one of them is married with children, so we have two beautiful grandchildren. Actually, the third one is about due in a couple of weeks' time. It's wonderful for us to see our children having been able to find their way of serving humanity and serving the Baha'i community. Both our sons have served as members of their local spiritual assembly, which is the local administrative body for the communities in which they live. The key way that Baha'is everywhere serve humanity is through taking children's classes, junior youth groups, holding devotional meetings, visiting each other and studying the Word of God and learning how to apply it to our lives. And so here in Samoa, just as in New Zealand and Baha'i communities all around the world, the Baha'i Friends are very much involved in these things as well. The Junior Youth Empowerment Program is a particularly important one, and you've probably had other programs on Baha'i on Air about it. It's an international program that really works on developing the skills, the knowledge and the spiritual qualities and character of children in that critical age 11 to 14 age group, so that they put their burgeoning energies into service and in productive ways for their society, rather than falling off into unproductive ways that can happen so easily with young people leading into their teens. So here in Samoa, in our community here of Te Papata, we have amazing junior youth groups and children's classes being run by Baha'i young people, also in Savaii, as Benny spoke about. Yeah, so it's wonderful to feel that there really is something that the individual can do, no matter what their age, to build communities and improve society.
For the betterment of the world.
Yeah. In the months and years leading up to my finding the faith, one of my real concerns in life actually was about, well, how can I make a difference in the world? I could see so many things wrong with the world, so many injustices, and I was really worried about what was happening. And of course in those days it was the Vietnam War. There were many things like that going on that really concerned me and my peers, and I used to struggle to find ways that I could really make a difference. And so it's fantastic now to see how in the Baha'i community we recognise that just by working with children and junior youth, it can make a huge difference in society and in the world. Just one heart at a time, one person at a time, particularly a girl child. If you are able to really influence a young girl so that she grows up with good values and good character and becomes well educated, then she'll become a good mother, and mothers influence, so many people because they raise more children who have more children and so on. And so it's wonderful seeing how in this simple way that can be done by everybody, we can really make a difference. Baha'is all around the world and here in Samoa, in their neighbourhoods, hold devotional meetings. In Samoa, this is a wonderful part of daily life anyway. Most Samoan families have prayers and sing every evening, but this is very much a part of the Baha'i community and Baha'i service, as well as devotional meetings, gathering together with friends, family, neighbours, to remember God and to learn and enjoy spirituality. Also, we have visits to each other's homes where we like to learn and develop more our understanding of spiritual matters and also how to serve humanity. All of these activities that we've been talking about, working with children and junior youth and adults and so on, devotional meetings and so on, are all part of the Baha'i community's response to guidance from our international body, the Universal House of Justice. Its purpose really is to help the Baha'i community make its contribution to the world so that we can help the world move closer to world peace and unity. And so the Universal House of Justice, being international and looking at the needs of the society and the whole world, comes up with plans and gives guidance and direction to the Baha'i communities all over the world. And now this is the time where they've really given us wonderful guidelines and wonderful resources and methods to help us all contribute significantly in our societies, working with children and young people and so on. So this is really where these activities come from. And no matter whether you're in a small village in Savaii or the huge Auckland city or a village in the bush in Papua New Guinea or a city in Japan, you'll find these same activities being offered by the Baha'is with a spirit of service to humanity and trying to create better society and better communities from their neighbourhoods up, grassroots up.